Welcome to Image Autopsy. I'm Garrett Bolkus, host of this web series. The Last Breath team and I have over 12 years of trail camera data that has led to the harvesting of some amazing whitetail bucks. In this series, we're going to break down and dissect trail camera photos and videos and explain how we use that data to target and harvest these big deer. Each episode, we're going to showcase a particular buck that we have hunted and harvested. The goal of this series is to show you and better understand how we've used trail cameras to become more efficient hunters and more effective whitetail hunters. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel as we will be dropping a brand new episode each week. From summer scouting to the very last day of season, we break it all down. Thanks again for tuning in to Moultrie's Image Autopsy. Welcome to Moultrie's Image Autopsy Season 2. Today we're going to talk about how you can use trail cameras to monitor a buck's bedding area, specifically in October, so that early November comes, you can get an opportunity. Today we're talking about a farm that Matt and Jesse hunt. It's roughly 220 acres, half to maybe a little bit over half of rolly, hilly timber, and the other half of ag ground. They typically ran 3 to 4 regular cameras and 2 to 3 cell cameras to cover their needs on this farm. Running their cameras again on video mode, they noticed that this deer specifically was only moving on a couple cameras with a certain wind. And diving into that wind data, diving into that weather data allowed them to pick up his movements from a certain spot on a certain wind, essentially narrowing it down to where they believed he was bedding on one of these bluffs and then moving when he had the wind in his favor. As October progressed, Matt and Jesse began to really understand Chubbs' home range and his movement. They continued to crunch the data. They continued to look and monitor the winds that he was moving on. With November approaching, Matt took this into consideration, slipped in and did a ground hunt, and actually got within range of Chubbs on November 1st. The takeaway message of this episode is not just specifically understanding where a buck is bedding at, but going a step further and understanding how is this deer moving with specific winds, and then taking that information, crunching it down, and figuring out how to get into range. And that's exactly what Matt and Jesse did. They used trail cameras to find out, okay, this deer likes this specific area on the farm. They took it a step further to note he was moving in certain areas on certain winds, and ultimately used that to get an arrow in him.
I'm on the north side of a bedding area with a southwest wind, which was directly blowing me down over the hill into a giant pond. So I had the wind at my advantage. Now the next thing I had to do was trying to find a spot to conceal myself and be able to shoot the areas I think the deer are going to travel through. So I picked a spot which had a tree roughly the same diameter as my torso to try to conceal any and all movement, because there really wasn't anywhere for me to sit, so I had to stand the whole entire night. So I picked a little cluster of trees that I could just barely fit me and the camera arm and all my gear just inside and still be able to turn around, move, pivot, do whatever I need to do while standing up. One thing that you really need to focus on, though, when you're in the timber trying to hunt these deer off the ground with no blind, you have got to clear the foliage out from underneath your feet. You've got to clear everything out of your way to where you're standing on bare dirt, because any leaf, any twig crack, anything that could attend the deer to be looking in your direction or draw any kind of attention to yourself is something you really have to try to avoid. So when I pick a spot, when I'm in the timber, even if I'm out hunting in the hole or in another spot I'm going to talk about here in a minute, I try to clear out any and all dead foliage out from where I'm standing, just to eliminate any kind of extra noise. I mean, your clothes are going to make noise, your bow's going to make noise, you're going to make noise moving, getting situated. So any and all noise that you can eliminate is extremely important. Obviously, you have to practice scent control, and you have to hunt with the wind. So I hunted with the wind, practiced scent control, moved all the crap out of my way so I didn't make any noise, and this is the result.
I gotta move. I just shot Chubbs. Yes. What a stud. We called him Chubbs. We called him Chubbs because he's so freaking heavy. And he is done and he is mine. 50 yards. Look at that shot. Through the freaking timber. I had to freaking stand up on a tree that I was sitting on in order to make it happen. He made it 150 yards probably. Man, he's freaking nice, dude. It's a big block-headed buck. Showed up late September. Got velvet pictures of him. We've had probably 200 trail camera pictures of him all year, just running hot laps around this farm, and he's finally met his maker tonight. Freaking heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.